Hey everyone, and welcome back
to the channel.
Let's dive right back into the drama because things are getting intense. So, after dinner, Bai Qian and Ailey strolled around the streets. Ollie accidentally entered a brothel and stumbled into a customer's room. This terrified Bai Qian, who quickly sneaked in and brought him out. Bai Qian and Ali agreed that this was a secret between the two of them and that neither of them could tell the Hua about it. Bai Qian and Ali were being harassed by a playboy on the bridge. Just as Bai Qian was about to devise a way to send him to some desolate wilderness, a pair of strong hands suddenly pulled her into an embrace. Bai Qian looked closely and smiled at the man, saying, "Lord the Hua, you've come at just the right time." The Hua, with one arm around Bai Qian, coldly said to the frivolous young man,
"You seem to be enjoying harassing my wife quite a bit." Even Ali sighed heavily at the man. "To make my father angry, you must be quite something."
Unexpectedly, the man became enraged, shouting, "Do you know who I am?" Before he could finish speaking, the Hua slapped him away, and he vanished without a trace. The Hua turned around and carefully examined Bai Qian, frowning as he asked, "Why didn't you try to avoid being groped?" Bai Qian nonchalantly replied, "It was just a couple of touches." Upon hearing this, the Hua's expression immediately changed. He wrapped his arms around Bai Qian's waist and kissed her passionately. Bai Qian was stunned. The Hua said expressionlessly, "It was just a couple of kisses." Bai Qian was speechless for a moment, then blushed. All the inns in the town were full, with only one room available. The Hua and his two companions had to share the room. Although Bai Qian was a goddess respected throughout the 4 seas and 8 wastelands, she was still a woman with very little romantic experience. This was the first time she and the Hua had to share a room alone. Even though Zhao Eli couldn't do anything with them, she still felt a little embarrassed. As night deepened, Bai Qian went to bed and fell asleep embracing Ali. The Hua read a book beside them. Watching over them, the Hua looked at the sleeping Bai Qian with tender eyes and couldn't help but sigh. He had always known her temperament, but he never expected her to forget him so decisively. Now, he both hoped that Bai Qian would remember him and was afraid that she would remember him. Love could make people so conflicted. Suddenly, the sound of fighting came from outside the window. The Hua flew out and saw Jia Yun being attacked by a group of men in black. The Hua took action and repelled the enemies. Jia Yun asked the Hua if they should continue to pursue them. The Hua waved his hand and said that these people were just illusions created by magic. They should discuss it when they returned to the Heavenly Palace. The Hua was going to the Heavenly Palace to celebrate the Heavenly Emperor's birthday, so Bai Qian took Ali back to Qingku alone. Neither Bai Qian nor Mi Jiyu could cook. Before, when the Hua was in the fox cave, the meals weren't anything special. But now that the Hua was gone, Bai Qian and Ailey had to rely on loquats to survive, and she felt a great emptiness. Evelay couldn't bear it anymore, constantly tugging at Bai Qian's skirt and asking pitifully when his father would return. Bai Qian used to hear Feng Jiu, drunk, tell her about her love affairs, and she thought there was nothing more precious than love.
But now it seemed there really was something just as tormenting as love. The Hua's cooking skills.
In order to keep the Hua in the Heavenly Palace and prevent him from going to Qingku to be with Bai Qian,
Jin planned to take advantage of the Heavenly Emperor's birthday banquet.
Sangji would be bringing Yuan Zhen, the eldest son of He Shaoxin, to celebrate the Emperor's birthday. The Heavenly Emperor had always been angry with that little snake, and even looked down on his grandson Yuan Zhen. Jin's plan was to stage a scene where she was being harassed by Yuan Zhen, inciting the Heavenly Emperor's rage. This way, in order to give herself an explanation, he would definitely keep the Hua in the Heavenly Palace for a few days, thus achieving her goal. Jin lied to Yuan Zhen, saying that the Heavenly Emperor was in Shiwu Palace and that she could take him to see him. Yuan Zhen believed Jin and followed her back to Shiwu Palace.
Jin used magic to drug Yuan Zhen when he wasn't paying attention. then forced him to drink a lot of wine.
She deliberately made him look disheveled and helped him onto Sujin's bed. Sujin had a white silk ribbon hung from the beam, and had Xuan Nu cry and shout that she had been harassed by the young prince and was going to hang herself. The shouts attracted the heavenly emperor and the crowd. Yuan Zhen and Sujin knelt on the ground. Sujin acted as if she was extremely wronged and cried. Yuan Zhen was really frightened by the sudden situation. Sujin cried out and begged the heavenly emperor and the Hua to grant her death. Sangji knelt and begged the heavenly emperor to spare Yuan Zhen's life because he was still young.
The heavenly emperor was still angry and ordered people to use the immortal
Binding rope to bind Yuan
and throw him into the mortal world to undergo tribulation for 60 years before being reascended to the ranks of immortals.
After everyone dispersed, the Hua coldly said to Sujin, "This is how she framed Susu back then. What kind of act is she putting on now?" The Hua frankly told Sujin that the reason he spared her life was twofold. First, for the soul-binding lamp, and second, to use her eye sockets to nourish Susu's eyes. Sujin didn't expect that the Hua had seen through her trick long ago. The Hua left Sujin speechless and turned away in disgust. Lian Song asked the Hua why he hadn't welcomed Bai Qian into the heavenly palace yet. The Hua sadly replied that she had forgotten him completely.
Lian Song thought it must be Jian's forgetfulness wine. The Hua decided to start over.
The heavenly palace held no good memories for Bai Qian, so forgetting was fine.
Now, as long as Bai Qian still had him in her heart, nothing could stop them from being together openly. He could finally marry her legitimately. Feng Jiu was lamenting that she hadn't seen the emperor for almost 2 years, wondering how she could ever repay his kindness, when, unexpectedly, the emperor suddenly appeared in her palace. The emperor looked forlorn, and Feng Jiu learned that one of his concubines, a noble consort, had suddenly declared her intention to become a nun after giving birth to Prince Yuan Zhen. The emperor had always doted on this concubine, but now she only came to see her son once a month on the 15th, refusing to see the emperor again. The emperor had been deeply troubled by this, constantly depressed. Feng Jiu secretly thought to herself, Si Ming has written such a tumultuous love story for the emperor. Isn't he afraid that when the emperor returns to the throne, he'll have to experience the bitterness of human love himself? The emperor was captivated by Feng Jiu, especially by the phoenix tail flower on her forehead, which kept his gaze fixed on her face. Unfortunately, Feng Jiu couldn't utter a single romantic word when she saw the emperor, and when he tried to get close to her, she instinctively wanted to run away. Feng Jiu was distressed that if things continued like this, she would have no way to repay his kindness. Suddenly, she remembered that she could use the 2 lives curse. Bai Qian felt that relying on the Hua to cook for them every day was a long-term solution. So she came up with an idea. She asked Mi Jiu to go to Qingku and find someone to be the Hua's last disciple, so that even if the Hua wasn't in Qingku anymore, they would still have delicious food to eat. Mi Jiu posted notices all over Qingku, and the little fairies rushed to the fox den to sign up. When the Hua saw them, he shook his head repeatedly and said, "Tell them all to leave. None of them have good aptitude." The Hua looked at Bai Qian affectionately and said, "You are very suitable. But if one of us 2 knows how to do it, that's enough. There's really no need for her to learn." Bai Qian coughed awkwardly a few times after hearing this.
Mi Jiu came to ask his aunt which one the Hua had chosen.
Bai Qian helplessly told Mi Jiu that she had liked any of them and told everyone to disperse. The Hua took Bai Qian for a walk. The Hua asked Bai Qian if she wanted to visit the heavenly palace. Just then, Shaoxin arrived with the broken cloud fan, requesting an audience with Bai Qian. Seeing the Hua beside her, Shaoxin hesitated to speak. Bai Qian glanced at the Hua and told Shaoxin that the Hua was no stranger. Shaoxin mustered her courage and told Bai Qian about Yuan Zhen's punishment in the mortal realm, a 60-year tribulation, for drunkenly harassing the concubine Sujin. Shaoxin pleaded with her aunt
To go to the mortal realm and save Yuan Zhen's life.
Bai Qian granted Shaoxin's request, but also told her that from then on, Qingku would have no further connection with her. Bai Qian wanted to borrow the Book of Fate from Siming to see what Yuan Zhen's great tribulation was, so she could prepare to help him overcome it.
The Hua told her that Siming was eccentric, and that even the Heavenly Emperor could unborrow the book.
The Hua said that, since Siming owed him a favor anyway, he would let him do it. However, the Hua had one request, that Bai Qian seal her magic power after going to the mortal realm.
Bai Qian was puzzled.
So, the Hua explained that immortals who altered mortals' fates suffered backlash from their magic power.
When the Hua and Bai Qian ascended the throne as Heavenly Emperor and Empress,
They would both be subject to karmic fire and heavenly lightning.
If this backlash harmed Bai Qian, the Hua worried that she might lose her life. Bai Qian thought about it and agreed with the Hua's reasoning, so she agreed to seal his magical powers. However, she suddenly felt something was amiss and quickly explained to the Hua that she was unmarried to him yet, and if he were to inherit the Heavenly Emperor's throne, she wouldn't share the karmic fire and heavenly lightning with him.
The Hua was amused by Bai Qian's expression.
Looking at her with tender affection and asking if she was blaming him for not marrying her. Into the Washing Watong Palace sooner 300 years ago. Bai Qian, embarrassed by the question, used the excuse of urging the Hua to quickly inquire about Si Ming Yuan Zhen, so she could put her mind at ease.
The Hua went to ask Siming about Yuan Zhen's fate. Siming explained it to the Hua in detail.
Yuan Zhen was born into the imperial family in the mortal realm, surnamed Song, named Song Yuan Zhen. His mother was originally a concubine, but she became a nun after giving birth to him. Yuan Zhen didn't return to the palace until he was 15.
When Yuan Zhen was 18,
He went on an outing with the emperor.
One day, a giant ROC flew in the sky, startling a beautiful woman who fell into the water. Yuan Zhen heroically rescued her. When he pulled her out of the water, their eyes met, and they fell in love. Unexpectedly, the emperor also took a liking to the woman and brought her back to the palace to favor him.
later Yuan Zhen, in a drunken stupor, consummated his marriage with this beauty.
Several months later, she gave birth to a prince. After the old emperor passed away, Yuan Zhen and the prince vied for the throne. And the prince ultimately died by Yuan Zhen's sword. When this news reached the beauty's ears, she was heartbroken and hanged herself, leaving a letter to Yuan Zhen, revealing that the prince was her own son. Yuan Zhen, Kado, filled with resentment, also attempted suicide, but he was the only male left in the royal family. He inherited the throne and spent the rest of his life in self-blame and regret. Miao Qing overheard the Hua and Siming's conversation and told Su Jin about it. When Su Jin heard that, Bai Qian was going to seal her magic and go to the mortal world to help Yuan overcome his tribulation, she couldn't help but hatch another wicked plan. She used sweet words to persuade Miao Qing to also go to the mortal world. After listening to the Hua recount Yuan Zhen's story,
Bai Qian couldn't help but
marvel at how dramatic and unpredictable Yuan Zhen's life had been.
written by Siming. She thought it was a waste of Siming's talent not to write plays. The Hua arranged Bai Qian's identity in the mortal realm. Yuan Zhen's former master was a Taoist nun, and Bai Qian wanted to be that nun's senior sister. After Yuan Zhen entered the palace, she would remain by his side as his new master to help him overcome his tribulations. Li Jing went to Kunlun ruins to ask Xilan to see Si Yin.
Li Jing also told Xilan that he had seen Si Yin in the northern wilderness.
Xilan did not believe Li Jing and kicked him out. Hua, that the winged realm is on a massive, nationwide search. Who are they looking for? None other than the mysterious immortal Si Yin. And get this, they're circulating a portrait of Si Yin, drawn by the one and only Li Jing. The moment the Hua lays eyes on this portrait, everything clicks into place. The puzzle pieces he's been struggling with finally form a complete picture. The woman in the drawing is unmistakably his Su, his Bai Qian. It confirms his deepest suspicion. Bai Qian is, and always has been, immortal Si Yin. But this revelation brings a flood of new questions for the Hua. If she is Si Yin, then why did she take her master Mo Yuan's body from the celestial palace? Why did she vanish without a trace for 70,000 years? And why does she actively avoid her own disciples from Kunlun Mountain? A whirlwind of confusion and curiosity takes over his mind. He wonders, if I just ask her directly, will she tell me the truth? Will she trust me with her secrets? The weight of these unanswered questions is heavy, and you can see the conflict in his eyes. Meanwhile, back in the winged realm, Li Jing confronts Xuan Nu. He's just returned from his own search, and he's furious. He demands to know the truth about Si Yin's real identity. He reveals what he's pieced together, that Si Yin is a high immortal from the Fox clan. Hearing this, the final piece of the puzzle clicks for Xuan Nu as well. Her mind flashes back, connecting the dots. Si Yin is Bai Qian. The realization hits her like a lightning bolt. A venomous hatred, festering for tens of thousands of years, erupts within her. The man she has loved with every fiber of her being. The man she betrayed her clan for, has been pining for Bai Qian all this time. Bai Jing. The woman who already has the love of the crown prince, the Hua. In Xuan Nu's twisted mind, Bai Qian is a greedy thief, stealing not one, but two powerful men. She seethes with jealousy, screaming internally. She has the Hua, so why is she trying to take Li Jing from me too? Just then, a wicked idea takes root. She remembers a crucial piece of information, Mo Yuan's immortal body. If she can get her hands on it, she can revive her deceased child. With this dark purpose, she uses her transformation magic, morphing into the perfect likeness of Bai Qian, and sets off for the tranquil land of Qingqiu. When she arrives, the tree spirit Miju greets her, thinking she's his aunt, Bai Qian. But something feels off.
This Bai Qian acts strangely.
Her mannerisms are just a little too stiff. Her questions a little too pointed.
Xuan Nu, in her disguise, cleverly coaxes information out of Misha.
Learning that Mo Yuan's body is resting in the sacred Yanhua cave. Without a second thought, she makes a beeline for the cave.
Her haste and unusual behavior finally make Jiju realize the horrifying truth. This isn't his aunt. It's the traitor, Xuan Nu. But before he can raise the alarm, Xuan Nu casts a powerful illusion, freezing him in place.
To make matters even worse, she forces the immobilized Mijiu to bring little Ali with him, using the child as a pawn in her cruel game.
Qingqiu's peace is about to be shattered. Now, let's switch back to the mortal realm. Bai Qian has returned to the palace with Yuan Zhen. She's completely preoccupied. Her mind racing as she tries to figure out how to help the young dragon boy safely pass his mortal trial. She feels a sense of responsibility and is determined to protect him.
Later that night, as she's alone in her room, a familiar figure materializes out of thin air. It's the Hua.
He's standing there, a gentle, knowing smile playing on his lips. His eyes are filled with an emotion she can't quite decipher. Softly, he says, "Qian Chen, I've missed you so much these past few days. Do you miss me too?" For Bai Qian, who knows no one in this foreign mortal world, the Hua's sudden appearance is a genuinely happy surprise. A wave of relief and comfort washes over her. But his words, his direct, blatant declaration of love, catch her completely off guard. She's flustered, her heart skipping a beat. She's still the High Goddess Bai Qian, not quite accustomed to such open displays of affection, especially from the stoic crown prince. You can just feel the delightful awkwardness and the spark between them reigniting. What will happen next?
We'll have to find out in the next episode.
Thanks so much for watching with me today. If you're enjoying this breakdown, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss what happens next. See you all in the next video.